Welcome to the Mistress of Change podcast for women devoted to living your highest life and purpose in the world. These conversations are about activating your personal power to ignite your unique genius, your quintessential style, and your potential for greatness, vitality, and abundance. Do stay tuned till the end to find the resources and the gifts we have for you, and make sure you take action on the world-class advice. And now, enjoy the podcast. Welcome to this episode of Mistress of Change, brought to you by House of Preeminence, Preeminence Rising, and your host, Jenni P, who brings you, my darling change makers, heart-centered entrepreneurs, female goddesses out there doing the great work, the very best wisdom, content, healing, insights, everything that you need to make breakthroughs in this very catalytic time. And it is my absolute joy today to be reconnecting with and sharing with you a really dear friend who I met in London quite a few years ago. We bonded because she also has the word maverick in her name. She has conscious maverick. I am a maverick, so mavericks unite. She is also a really, really highly respected, love, revered, beautiful, original goddess, spiritual coach for those who want to access their soul's truth to help them in their mission. So today, welcome my gorgeous Noha Essop.
Thank you so much, Jenni P. Wow, I should have you write my bio. It was beautiful. Thank you. Wow. I'm just so happy to be here in this space with you.
I know, and I want to share with my audience, my ladies, our community, a little bit of the space that you reside in, as because I know that is a space that not just enriches you and moves your life forward, but it's also what your clients and your community come to you to find on your retreats and on your fabulous retreats. So first of all, can you share with us what your mission looks like, what your kind of calling or mission looks like, if that's what you call your mission?
Yeah. You know, if you asked me this probably a year ago, I would have had this highfalutin sentence that sounds like a very big mission statement come affirmation. Today, it's quite simple. It's to be obedient to what Spirit chooses for me and to have the courage to do it. I wake up in the morning with this simple prayer of, I'm here, show me where I need to be. And I know that is on a spiritual path. I know that I'm here to help bring knowledge and wisdom into the world and to help people open their hearts and reach their truth. But the actual mission, in its simplicity, I guess it's just to be a beacon of light in its simplicity. And I think over the years, as I've grown, as I've expanded, I've become less. And that really enthuses me. I don't have a need for more words. I just have a willingness to be brighter.
Mm. Yeah, mission accomplished then.
Thank you, love.
So that is why I love you and why it is so inspiring, and what I think that our ladies can take away in this world where we are being hustled left, right, and front, not just by our own desire to serve, but by the paradigm that we're living in, to take more action, to get more done, to raise the bar higher. And you know, I'm a prime example of that.
Yes,
it's like let's just push the walls, just
Yeah.
like, so
Yeah.
it's very refreshing to hear your the way that you so powerfully stand in this listening space. How do you transmit that to your ladies, to your community when they come on a retreat, and what's the effect of it?
So I think, this last retreat that I did in March is probably a prime example, because the entire purpose of that was to walk in a state of divinity. So it was to walk in a state of now. And so the way in which I transmit or translate this to my audience is, I believe in walking alongside people. Um, I don't believe in a 10-step process. I used to, but I don't anymore, because I find it rigid, and I don't think it doesn't allow your uniqueness to be woven into that process. And so the way in which I would transmit something like that is to find where someone is at, and again, what they value, who they are, what their current level of truth is, because we all, there's just been this myriad of conversations on the online space, particularly about your truth and your surrender and your alignment and blah, blah, blah. But it means different things to different people. And there is a big assumption sometimes that, your truth is something in the future. No, actually, you have a level of it right now. Everyone has a level of it right now. And it's to find the truth that is here right now and live according to that truth, because more will start to be revealing itself to you. The more you live and step into that which is true for you and let go of that which is not true for you, the more truth will be revealed, the more alignment will be given, the more next steps will be given. That's when the step, the action, the getting things done becomes inspired action. It's things that is just literally flowing and oozing out of you. It doesn't take effort, you know. It's just part of who you are. And so I don't dabble anymore in things that is just not who I am. I'm like, no, sorry. And that's just the way I live for now.
You touched on two important points that I'd like to circle back around on there. One is this thing of us being in boxes. Mm-hmm. When I say us, I'm talking about women principally. I'm talking about women who are serving, light workers, change workers, all of these, and all of women who are helping mankind at the moment. So you mentioned something about dropping the definitions, mm-hmm. which is such a tendency, and over maybe the last 5 to 10 years, it's been almost like a goal. First of all, you said yourself, I don't have a mission statement anymore. I don't define myself by that. Mm-hmm. I just prefer to listen and to be. Mm-hmm. So can you talk to us a little bit more about the getting outside of the box, because it's also a box that's become a coach's box and a consultant's box, and all of those things, and people still feel pressured to be in it.
Yeah. I think, as the world is shifting, as the paradigm, as the consciousness is shifting on earth, we will soon be discovering probably more in our faces than before, that the world doesn't need rigidity anymore. It needs your flow. It needs your amoebic-like movement in this world and in this life. Labels for me is an extremely dangerous thing, because we tend to label things. As we label others, we label ourselves, we label experiences, because we want to define them, we want to put them in a box, because we want to make sense of them. And what we don't often realize, and maybe someone has never said it to us until this time, is that whenever we label something, we are in fact contracting our consciousness. because we took something that was that and was still moving beyond and beyond that. And we said, oh, hold on, I need to label it. And we just confined it. We just made it finite, right? And that moment of making it finite, we've just taken its power away. The irony, though, is that we think we've given it power because we've now given it a name, because we've now given it a label. I tell you, Jenny, I've just recently had an experience, because with every retreat, close to the beginning of the retreat, the actual physical doing of a retreat, I'm shown what my next retreat is going to be within 3 to 4 months' time. And I was shown this next one, which is coming up in July, and I was a bit dumbstruck, because it's just a Spirit Sister soiree. It's just, I couldn't even come up with a definitive healing word or something that was going to describe it. I needed to know, and others needed to know, that you will need to trust me. When you come on this experience, I want you to trust me, not me as the human. I want you to trust me as the vessel of divinity. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. And if you can, I can guarantee and promise you that your world will be completely different on the other side. And I wholeheartedly trust in the divine order that I will have the right people and the right amount of people that will experience that, because I went labelless almost on this experience, because I'm feeling stronger and more each day that the label so quickly, we call people narcissists, we call people, even the 6 and 7 figure is a label, right? And what we don't realize, it's actually a finite label. There is beyond 7 figure. But yeah, I would always encourage people to rather be in the flow and in the feeling of an experience than try to taint it with a label.
I love that so much. Yeah. Really love that so much. Especially as it joins the essence of my own Trinity code work, which is so unique and totally about experience and experience before everything. So that moves me enormously. And I love what you said about the 6 figure and the 7 figure and the multi 7 figure and all that, because even those labels, they don't mean anything, do they?
No, they actually don't. And that's actually the point.
They really don't mean anything. No. It's really interesting, Noha, because having done interviews and had conversations with so many eminent and preeminent female leaders over the last 2 years in this, all with that kind of label on them, I just realized that they're not different from me. I'm not different from them. In fact, sometimes they turn around and kind of place me somewhere high. Not that I'm looking for it, but it's when you come from that place of being a vessel, as you said. I love that, what you said about trust me to be a vessel for the wisdom that needs to come through. That is absolutely exquisite. And that kind of, we get out of our own way then.
Yes, and that's just it, Jenny. That is the purpose of life. Full stop. Get out of your own way.
Yeah, no more.
Allow yourself. No, allow yourself to be led, to be surprised, to be gifted, to be, lavished with things that you even can't conjure up with your limited space of mental capacity. Mm-hmm. The divine wisdom in intellect is far greater than our ability to think up a goal in our minds. So, yeah, we are quite limiting ourselves from time to time when we are doing things like that.
This is so good to hear. You see, this is, I trusted that what needed said would be said, because I see so many women in this industry or work struggle with this because it's as if they take it as a measure of their traction, the traction that they're getting. Whereby what we're talking is going so much deeper and being so much more profound. And I'm going to circle back to that other point, which is connected with what we've just been talking about, is this whole thing about the vocabulary that is used, that is supposed to be the trendiest vocabulary, like the words alignment and energetic and all of that. And in the beginning, they were kind of new, exciting and woo words. And all of a sudden they've been bandied around so much, they're absolutely blasé. But don't you agree, Noha, that demands of us to, as you said so beautifully in the beginning, is to go beyond the words, even go beyond speaking, and to allow something new to come through.
Again, if we're always going to be attached to the way things are and to a particular thing, a particular label, a particular statement of sorts, how are we ever going to be shown something new? Newness doesn't arrive because we are stuck in the same place. You cannot arrive at a new destination, being in the destination that you chose to be in right now. You have to move. You have to flow. You have to let go of the familiarity, the comfort that you do know yourself to be in. So yes, we do have to let go of labels and words and vocabulary. But I think we've also lost the art. I'm seeing more of it coming out in the fore now, but I think we've also lost the art of speaking from our hearts. In social media, and particularly in the coaching industry, I used to teach content creation, right? We've been taught how to craft a post for traction, right? For likes, instead of crafting something that is actually just emerging from our souls, something that potentially only one person may need to know and may need to be saved by, healed by, risen by, or something through your words. For me, the energy and the vibration behind that, of raising one person, even that I don't know who that person is far greater than the strategic likes of a crafted post. There's always going to be a necessity for that, right? Particularly when you are, in invitation mode, like I'm right now. I'm inviting people to my next retreat. But I don't believe that we are doing it enough, that we are just allowing our hearts to lead. And there's power in that, Jenny. Wow. So much so.
Well, can I ask what it was, unless it's really private, of course, that caused you to take this shift away from the mainstream content, strategy, action, goal orientated, getting traction, to this place of such trust and feeling so deeply with the connection with the divine, and letting that guide you? Was there something major? What was it? Gradual?
I'm going to say yes and no. I think there were several major things. I think I have had, and I think also, in the time that we met, Jenny, even, when we bonded the first time, that was a period of my life where I was insistent in knowing the way. And I think it was soon after that, a year or two after, that I realized that nobody actually knows the way. If they're selling me that, they are BSing me. They don't know the way, because no one can, because my way is unique to me. And so I kind of set out on this path to figure out what is that unique path and how does it look. In that process, I had to go through a lot of healing. And with healing comes a lot of death of the old self, and rebirths. And I've never been afraid to go through a death of the old self and a rebirth, no matter how painful it's been. I've also never been afraid, thankfully, I've never been afraid of reinventing myself, um, of coming out into the world and saying, actually, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'm doing it anyway until it defines itself, right? It's so interesting, at the beginning you spoke about, us both being mavericks. I've tried for the last 3 years to get Facebook to change my page name and take away the name Conscious Maverick, because I no longer identify with it because of the energy with which I started it with. It's not who I am anymore. I just want to be Noha. That's it, right? In its simplicity. And so there's been a multitude of things, but the actual work, the process of itself that got me there, was the constant sitting in stillness with myself, the constant hearing the whisper and being a bit doubtful and still saying, well, I'm just going to trust it and see where I land. And slowly but surely learning to trust more. And as I trusted more, I was given more to be trusted with. And I think that probably was bigger for me and more meaningful than whatever someone else could promise me in multiple figures. And yeah, it's just more meaningful for me this way.
That just touches me again so deeply, and it's so it's so relevant to this issue, this edition, this whole theme that I'm sharing in this edition of the magazine, because it is both healing, home, heart, and healing, actually, and also metamorphosis. Because and this the whole process of a butterfly, and you mentioned both healing and rebirth, death and rebirth and renewal in the same sentence. So healing, would you agree, Noha, that it's healing's not something we need to because there's something wrong with us?
No, so I in my groups that I teach, I don't use the word healing, because healing implies not well, right? I mean, just it's by definition. So I use the word recalibrate, because it is only that we have miscalibrated or we've stepped out of alignment, and we just need to come back and recalibrate ourselves. So the process of healing for me is the process of recalibration. It's about, going into the old, as directed by the current. Our current understanding of ourselves, our current versions of self, our current issues, challenges that we may perceive we have, are all indicators to our root cause, which is, earlier on. And yeah, I like recalibration, but it is important, and it's an everyday thing. I don't know why often people think it's okay, it's July, I think it's a good time to do some healing. No, actually, you're doing it every day. Small doses, and then boom, a big one comes that really takes you into, a deep dark night of the soul, and is asking you to allow the death of an old part of you that you've been so familiar and so attached to. only to be given far greater than you could ever imagine through the rebirth. And that's life's journey, right? And I just also want to add, when we speak about being detached from the 7-figure, 6-figure, blah blah blah, and just being an allowance, that by no means means that there isn't a level of worth, right? And therefore prosperity and abundance that comes with that. There's always going to be, because that's just the vibration of that flow is to be experiencing all forms of flow in all directions, right? So yeah, healing, recalibration is important.
It's I love that you made it something that we can do every day, an invitation to do it every day, to recalibrate, and not to be afraid of those dark nights of the soul, which I also observe a lot when people get stuck, when women get stuck on this journey, because that most of them are so ardent. They really we do care. We care so much. We care so much about helping and help so much about our part in the part that we play in the great healing, which actually does need healing. But so it's good to hear from you that part of sitting in trust that something bigger and richer will enter, and the flow of abundance with that, because of the vibration.
Yeah. And I think, when I speak about daily healing and daily recalibration, it's not hard work. We forget that taking a nap is also healing. We forget that resting and letting go of a schedule just for an hour is also healing. We forget that coming into our awareness, into stillness for 3 to 5 minutes is also healing. We forget that to be completely mindful and taking in that intentional breath is also healing. We think that we need to go through process work. We think that we need to go on a shamanic journey, or, go and meet with our higher self, or go and do this method and that traction method, and, this ancestral healing and that. There's going to be a time and space for that, but it's not an everyday thing. You will know. You will know if you're doing the daily recalibration by doing your breathing, your short meditation, staying in your awareness, and what I love calling soft observation. Hard observation is we're observing because there's an outcome that we are wanting to see through this observation. But a soft observation is where we see, but we're allowed to just flow past. So we're not ingesting it, we're just seeing it. And we're just seeing it, and it's like a flow of the patterns of the matrix that is just in front of you. And soon the pattern starts to make a scene for you. And that's soft observation, where I don't need to react, I don't need to respond. Nothing has yet got meaning to me until I give it meaning, or until the divine wisdom wants to show me meaning that is right for me to see at this moment. And yeah, that's it.
Well, I think we've shared an absolute treasure box of wisdom gems just in 30 short minutes. Oh. Is just amazing what's just emerged from this conversation, as I knew. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our community?
I think, and I think just on the healing, but I think sometimes it's easy to say, oh, I'm just going to flow. And the flow is not an integrated flow, and often ends up being, words that we use in avoidance. sometimes the flow is truly being in that river, which I like to call the divine river, which is going to have rapids. Right? And it's going to have some smooth moments. I think, living in one's truth and living authentically requires honesty, self-honesty. And we must know when it is that we are okay and when we are not okay. And we must know when we are saying that we are in alignment, that we truly are, and that we're not BSing ourselves. Because no one on the outside can help us with that.
So
it's not somebody else's job to call us out on our BS when we didn't ask. Right? We have to be truthful. And so for me, one of the cornerstones of my life in the last year or so has been self-accountability and self-honesty. I've been turning over every stone and thinking, where have I fibbed? Where have I been unsure? Where have I been doubtful? Where have I said yes when I actually wasn't quite sure? And so on and so on. Because if I'm coming out and saying that I'm living a life of authenticity and alignment, then it starts with me, my self-honesty. And through that process, to not be rigid about healing and recalibration, but to be gentle, be loving and kind towards ourselves, because that's the first step, this whole self-love journey. And I guess that's all that I did want to share as a final word. Thank you, Jenni.
truly magnificent.
Thank you, my love.
Just wanted to, I'm actually really moved to tears. I can feel that just imparted, and it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jenni.
I'm going to share all of your links so people can draw near to your grace and wisdom and goddessness. So I just want to thank you so much from my heart and being part of my life. I'm so glad you're in my life.
Likewise, Jenni. Thank you. Thank you. I think often when we at a high vibrational state of grace, the only words ever necessary and the only words that can ever flow is thank you and I love you.
Well, thank you and I love you.